Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this, because today we're talking directly to you. Yeah, you, the junior engineers out there who are just stepping into the high-stakes, real-world practice of your brand new careers. You know, you've spent years mastering the technical skills, the heavy mathematics, all of that. But today, we're focusing on something arguably even more critical to your success and, honestly, to society as a whole: professional ethics.
Let me ask you something right off the bat. Will your upcoming designs be tested in a safe, controlled laboratory or out on the unsuspecting public? It's a pretty stark reality check, right? It is so incredibly easy to get caught up in this illusion that engineering is just math, physics, and, finding the perfect formula on a whiteboard. But the second you graduate and take that first real job, your equations step off the page. The bridges you design, the algorithms you code, the medical devices you help manufacture, they literally have immediate, tangible consequences on individuals, entire communities, and the environment.
Let's move to the next point and see how this builds, because since your work impacts the real world so directly, engineering is absolutely an inseparable part of social responsibility. Ethics isn't just some boring compliance module you blindly click through during HR onboarding, right? It's a dynamic, high-stakes part of your everyday job. It provides the core guiding principles to make sure you're acting with integrity, fairness, and accountability when actual lives are on the line.
So, imagine this. You're a few months into your new job, and you face a highly realistic trade-off. Do you choose cheaper materials to satisfy a demanding contractor and save the budget, or do you stand firm for public safety? You are absolutely going to face these kinds of inevitable career conflicts. The pressure to prioritize economic efficiency, to hit those crazy tight deadlines, or just maximize profit, it's going to be immense, and it will frequently clash directly with your duty to public welfare.
Now, in the industry, we call this a moral dilemma. It's essentially what happens when two or more ethical principles collide, and choosing one inherently compromises the other one. It's not always this clear-cut choice between good and evil. Actually, scratch that. It's rarely that simple. Often, it's a really messy choice between competing priorities. We know the immense pressures and trade-offs you're going to face from senior staff, clients, or management. Choosing safety might blow the budget and seriously anger your stakeholders, while choosing cost savings, well, that might literally endanger lives.
To survive, and honestly to thrive in these situations, you need what I like to call your ultimate professional superpower: moral autonomy. Basically, this is your ability to make independent, ethical decisions based on reason, conscience, and universal values, rather than just caving to external pressures. It means having the critical thinking skills to resist unethical demands and just refusing to blindly follow orders, even if standing your ground comes at a personal cost to your job.
History shows us exactly what happens when moral autonomy is suppressed, and this brilliantly illustrates the point. Take the 1986 Challenger space shuttle disaster. It's a heartbreaking, life-or-death reality check. See, engineers actually knew about the safety issues with the O-rings in cold weather. They warned against the launch, but immense organizational pressure to proceed completely overrode their ethical courage and technical warnings. The result was a tragic failure of moral autonomy with absolutely devastating, fatal consequences.
So, how do you resolve these really intense dilemmas before they turn into tragedies? Well, here is a concrete three-step playbook derived straight from our sources. First, evaluate your options using ethical reasoning to determine which choice causes the absolute least harm and upholds justice. Second, talk to your peers, seek out mentors, and use your organization's resources. Seriously, don't carry the burden alone. And third, always align your final decision with the core principles of your profession, placing public safety above everything else.
I kind of want to shift your perspective a bit right now. Think about this. Engineering is essentially the ultimate social experiment. Unlike a chemistry lab where a beaker explodes and you can just casually sweep up the glass and try again, your engineering projects are deployed directly into society. They're implemented in unpredictable, real-world settings where human behavior is just this massive, uncontrollable variable.
This means every single project you touch carries 4 key dimensions: uncertainty, risk, responsibility, and learning from failure. So, the crucial point here is, think about what that actually means. Unlike a lab test you can just reset, once a bridge is built or a new AI algorithm is deployed, society literally has to live with the consequences. You can't just repeat the deployment under identical conditions. Anticipating risks and taking ultimate responsibility for those outcomes, that falls squarely on your shoulders.
And because your projects are these massive social experiments, they naturally involve multiple stakeholders, governments, industries, and local communities, each with their own competing interests. Just think about the development of nuclear energy or genetically modified organisms.
These kinds of projects constantly trigger a really volatile mix of broad public consensus on their benefits, like clean energy or higher crop yields, alongside fierce public controversy over safety, ethics, and environmental impact. You have to navigate this entire social dimension, not just the technical stuff.
But hey, I want to reassure you for a second. You aren't navigating this giant social experiment all on your own. Your profession actually has institutional frameworks designed to guide your behavior. Think of these codes as your ethical compass. They are formally documented standards established by professional bodies to make sure you don't have to invent ethical principles from scratch every single time you face a really tough decision.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down the difference between two concepts you're going to hear about constantly in your career. On one hand, codes of ethics serve as your universal moral compass. They are broad, philosophical principles prioritizing public welfare, honesty, and fairness above all else. On the other hand, codes of conduct are your specific operational rules for daily practice. This is the practical stuff, like exactly how to disclose a conflict of interest, the rules around confidentiality, or policies against accepting corporate gifts.
Having these codes written down is fantastic, but let's be real, words on a page do not protect the public by themselves. That requires you stepping up as leaders. I want to genuinely challenge you today to evolve. Don't just be a naive technical problem solver who keeps their head down and crunches numbers. Strive to be an empowered ethical leader. It is totally up to you and your future teams to bring these written codes to life in the real world.
True ethical leadership transforms those abstract principles into concrete practice. It means consistently prioritizing public safety over profit no matter the pushback you get. It means ensuring complete transparency in your decision-making processes so everyone understands exactly why a choice was made. And crucially, as you move up in your career, it means creating an organizational culture that actually protects whistleblowers rather than punishing them, ensuring that ethical behavior is always rewarded, never penalized.
Which brings us to our final and probably most important question. When the pressure is really on, when the budget is impossibly tight, and when the stakes are incredibly high, will you blindly follow orders or will you be the guardian of public welfare? The choice is entirely yours. You possess the moral autonomy to make the right call. So embrace this responsibility, master the ethical stakes of your new career, and always remember that your engineering expertise isn't just a technical skill. It's a profound moral commitment to society. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.